looking at the draft, guys, there were some questions, right? You started things off pretty good for SoaR, picked up the Xing Wei. That was a great hunter, without a doubt. We see it in the PC side. Of course, you're going to see it in the console side. And that was going to go to StormyRays. StormyRays, by the way, who really has kind of been a chameleon for his team, just filling in so many different roles. Don't know if that really comes into play at this point, but it's still something notable here where it's a man of many hats, if you will. And then Eager, they immediately go for the Wheelish, they go for the Sylvanus, and then SoaR gives them picks that were questionable, like the Nike and the Zeus. We've seen the Zeus pretty much banned out first all the time. Why let it go through this time?
I think that they've, at SoaR, felt really comfortable in the sense that they had the Odin already secured, so maybe they thought that if they just got the Zeus inside of the cage, and with the Sylvanus even, he can't have healing, there won't be a really solid way for his team to maintain peel for Delta Marine, but he guided the situation pretty perfectly whenever he did find himself inside that ring, and a lot of times, SoaR couldn't really capitalize on the Zeus being in the cage because they had the AoE damage coming out from the Scylla, but SoaR was taking a lot of fire from the Nike because Dwurst was just having a free rampage in their back line. And, part of that's due to the fact that it's really hard to lock down a Nike as is. And they didn't really have any kind of solid CC for interrupting the Nike damage as well as like her kit. So I feel like he was just getting away with a lot more than what he probably should have been. But there's really not much of a way for SoaR to try and punish that.
Yeah, and they couldn't really punish Zeus either because at one point he was level 15, SoaR was only level 12. I mean, this Zeus was just putting out crazy damage, so you go on him, he just peels for himself with his damage. So there wasn't really anything they could do.
All right, well, here we go. Game 2 as we get the picks and bans started here. SoaR's going to get rid of Ra, which makes a lot of sense. Ra is such a great god in the mid. And then the Alquan, which are the first 2 bans we saw in Game 1.
Yeah, you can tell these guys are, scrim partners like we've mentioned, and they know automatically what they want to ban. SoaR's sticking true to the book. They don't want to let Eager have that Geb Ra. And I think that's a really smart choice by them, especially after seeing how hard it is to deal with Eager, who's a team that likes to play a lot more passive and wait it out to the mid-late game. So Geb being on the side of Eager, I think would be devastating.
Yeah, we saw them play the Geb and the Guan Yu, and they just play that comp too well. So I respect the Geb ban, and we have Sylvanus here for SoaR going to Brochacho. Brochacho loves Sylvanus and plays a great Sylvanus. I like it. You got to wonder here, is Eager going to go the same route as SoaR did last time and pick up the Odin, or did they just go flat out Odin Zeus here?
I feel like Eager, if I wanted Zeus, I would probably just go ahead and lock that down. It's open. Delta Marine has displayed that he's more than capable of playing it, and he's a really comfortable pick for him, not to mention that the AoE control on the map as well that's provided by Zeus, I think is an incredibly smart, it's a smart thing to have on your team.
But they prioritized the Chronos here, and good. Would it have been banned out? I don't know.
I don't think it, maybe in the second phase of bans, but I do like this. Sometimes you're just at a point where you're like, yo, I'm feeling this god right now. Like I'm feeling this god right. And Cougar played the Chronos last game really well, and there's the Zeus for Delta Marine. So I feel like these guys did enough on these 2 gods to warrant them being the first 2 picks for Eager, and I like that they did that.
Yeah, not to mention that on the Chronos, he was taking up a lot of aggressive trades with StormyRays in that duo lane, and majority of the time, Cougar was actually by himself just trying to box and siege objectives on the side of the map, which was causing a lot of displacement on the side of SoaR, in that Chapo didn't really seem like he was certain of, should I just go and gank this lane and, help Stormy not die, but then at the same time, you have the issue of Eager just sieging on the other side of the map as well, so I think it causes a lot of confusion and chaos.
It sure does, and we see the Zhong here for SoaR. That's going to be going to Shaliber, and that's one of Shaliber's gods. Not a lot of people play Zhong on Xbox. It's primarily Shaliber and Cloud you see playing the Zhong. I do like Zhong. He has a lot of unmissable abilities, and unmissable abilities are good on Xbox because everything's harder to hit. So I do like the Zhong, and the Nike from Eager is also a good pick. Dwurst did a lot of work on that last game. Yeah,
I think there's a little bit of concern coming out from me about the Odin pick, just in the sense that we saw Dwurst having a really easy time in that solo lane on the Nike Odin matchup, and I think that a large issue with that is the fact that Odin doesn't have a way to interrupt Nike's clear, so he kind of just gets to free farm to his heart's content, and I think that that can be a little bit dangerous should Dwurst farm up really strong again on the Nike, because then he'll just be in that back line, and when you're a Zhong Kui, it's kind of hard to get away.
Yeah, that is a rough matchup, the Nike versus the Odin, but I do want to see here, I want to see Chapo put a little bit more pressure early on that solo lane. Granted that it's not a great matchup for the Odin. I want to see him alleviate some of that pressure in the solo lane, maybe look at, see about getting Uzzy a little bit ahead, because Uzzy plays great from ahead, and you know, he just makes good rotations to mid, and it helps their team fights go a lot smoother.
Yeah, I also really like Eager's idea where they're trying to go ahead and just take away as many assassins as possible while Chapo doesn't have his god locked down quite yet. Because, you know, another thing that we haven't really considered is the Nike could also potentially be a flex pick in the jungle on the side of Eager. I mean, they've been watching the games here, and I know that PC and console are two different worlds, but at the same time, there's no reason that you couldn't potentially flex it like we've seen PC going and opting for.
Yeah, myflin has a great god pull too. I mean, I would not, I mean, even, it could be support, you never know. I think Jellly could probably play Nike too, so really a good flex pick by Eager, keeping SoaR guessing. SoaR opting for the Bacchus, a Willix bands there. We do know Jellly loves his Bacchus, and myflin, I think, has played a Willix every game so far. I think he played it 2 games in the set versus ALG, so I do like the Willix band there. And they took the Circuit and the Thor away from Chapo, 2 guys that he's very potent on as well. So a lot of jungle bands coming out in the second phase.
Yeah, I feel like I wouldn't be surprised to see myflin potentially opt for that Athena jungle. It's something that he's run before with Eager. It's something that he feels pretty comfortable with. And I do, the Batz with Zeus, I think, is a really great decision by them. Although it could be potentially, I think it's a great way to cause displacement during the Odin ring should his teammates be trapped inside of it, because it'll be really difficult for SoaR to try and punish those picks that can't escape themselves.
And just looking back at my notes, yes, the Willish was picked every game. So this is it definitely knocks him out, and a Susano coming out here.
A Susano for Chapo. Susano is actually still a very strong god on Xbox especially. And the Cupid for StormyRays again. He went to this Cupid. We saw him go to the Cupid in the Aware set. He loves his Cupid, and it synergizes well with the Odin. But when I'm looking at Eager's comp, if they cannot, SoaR cannot fight Eager in these jungle fights. They have Batz, Nike, Zeus. So much AoE. If they run into Eager in these jungle fights, I think it's going to spell disaster for SoaR.
Yeah, I think another issue that they're going to have to be concerned about as well is that Nike passive, considering that it provides so much movement speed on the side of Eager. You know, Eager has a lot of chase potential as well, so if SoaR aren't able to capitalize on their team combinations inside that Odin cage, I think they can find themselves in a pretty dangerous territory.
All right, well, it is all locked down. Really interesting draft there. That Xing 10 pick coming in at the end. All right, guys, who do you have?
I think that with the momentum that Eager's going with, they could potentially pick up the second game as well.
Interesting.
Just for the sake of disagreement, I'm going to go to SoaR.
Oh, just for the sake of this, I respect the hustle. All right, guys. Game 2 is going to be underway in just a second. This is a great matchup for the console finals. It's Eager, it's SoaR. Who's going to come out on top? Let's send it over to the casters.
Thank you, Golden Boy. SoaR versus Eager, game number 2. Game number 1, all Eager's way after a pretty rough start from them.
Absolutely. We saw SoaR get off to 3 early great kills, but unfortunately couldn't translate it to more objective invades, getting those small buffs.
Yeah, Team Eager looking really great, but this is the first time we see the Zhong Kui and the Susano picked here. It's going to be really interesting to see what SoaR is thinking around it.
Another great aggressive god for ElSoarchapo. Now the question is, how aggressive is he going to be? Because it was just too much aggression from the last one.
I know for a fact as well, Cupid loves the Batz into the Susano, so the matchup there is, I don't think it's too good for him, but ElSoarchapo can probably pull it out. He's insane.
There's going to be a lot of area of effect damage from both of these teams, obviously, between the Sylvanus, Zhong Kui, Cupid, and then on the other hand, you have the Batz, the Zeus, and don't forget the control that Jelly's going to have with that Xing Chen ultimate.
Again, we see big groupings from both teams here. Last game, this level 1 fight went the way of SoaR Gaming, but as we remember, Team Eager were able to win the game overall.
And we see now StormyRays playing the Cupid, which is a great god for the level 1 compared to AirCougar on the Chronos. But Uzzy and ElSoarchapo, though, you don't really want to commit there with the rest of your teammates behind you.
They want this 5v5 again. They want to get the early kills and maybe get that lucky pick.
They want to find the wards, but now Uzzy caught out of position. He's still holding on to his ability. I think he's not going to be able to jump in, not finding the card either for the slow.
That would have been a good slow right there. Maybe a pick onto myflin, or at least he would have picked up his jump, and that would have been really good for SoaR.
Absolutely, because without your second ability, you're not going to be able to clear as quickly those buffs. So that will give a slight edge to SoaR just to get to laning phase first.
Exactly, and now we see just the passive start, you know, they're taking their own jungle. This is a really overall normal start, at least coming out from SoaR. The support is going to rotate to the solo lane side, so I'm going to be looking at whether they're going to take the fire camps and then the mid camp, so they get like this slight lead.
Tell me more about these builds coming out of these supports. We see on one side Jellly starting off with the Traveler Shoes, and on the other side ElSoarchapo playing Sylvanus, Mark of the Vanguard with Boots 1.
I mean, the Teleri Boots is once again for the early aggressiveness, getting that extra gold, and on the other hand, Sylvanus don't have the same mobility as Xing have, so you want to get that early protection to possibly stay alive and fade for yourself.
myflin took a lot of damage there from those right-hand side mid-camps. Going to be rotating towards the fire elementals, but SoaR have already cleared them.
And it seems though as the Gremlins do spawn, SoaR are in position to grab these first sets of them, and now ElSoarchapo going to 3-man split it. Is it efficient to 3-man split those?
I mean, overall, it's fine. It's not too efficient. You want to get that 2-man split in, mostly, but overall, this goes to in the favor of SoaR. They're getting the same farm, but overall, SoaR get those fire camps, so that's going to give them maybe 50 gold ahead.
So already the game compared to the last one, just not as quickly without those 3 kills right off the bat. So these both teams are still going to feel each other out, wait for the right timings before they aggress, wait for those level 5 plays.
And the Batz picked up Ninja Tabi. I'm a little bit confused about the pick. I would have liked to see the Teleri boost to get that extra gold off in the start, because Ninja Tabi overall, I mean, attack speed, you don't really need it, because in Batz you blink in and then you get 1 crit and dead.
Do you think with the Ninja Tabi, he's going to build something a little bit more differently, like maybe Transcendence, just to get more mana and spam his abilities, or?
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what he's thinking here, because the Ninja Tabi is definitely not a common pick.
Absolutely. You don't have as much physical power, but you do have some attack speed to maybe get off those hits in between the abilities, so we'll see how that plays out later on.
Both of our hunters here have gone into Boots at the start yet again. We're really seeing starter hunters not be as popular in the ADC role in this tournament.
It just seems that the mobility is a bigger factor.
I mean, the mobility is good, but I feel like if you leave the dual lane alone, the boot start is not a good start, because you don't have the extra sustain that you would have with like a Vampire Shroud, a Death Toll onto the Hunters. So I would have liked to see at the Cupid at least picking up that Death Toll to keep his sustain. He also needs the extra mana to keep healing himself.
If you look at both of these gods, though, they do have some sustain built into their kit. StormyRays with the hearts for himself, AirCougar, if he gets the first tick off in his accelerate, then he'll get some more health with them.
And right now, SoaR is just going to be looking for these fire camps, just trying to get the control over the right side of the jungle. Team Eagle will not be able to do the go free, so just keeping the right control is just fine for now.
SoaR grabbing their second set of the Gremlins there by the Fire Giant, and now rotating down the middle. ElSoarchapo, he wants to find a pull maybe onto Jellly.
ElSoarchapo playing so aggressive. He's always up in their face. Even though he's not doing anything, he's showing presence, and Team Eagle needs to be under his tower, because he will find a pull.
There's the ultimate from StormyRays. AirCougar using his rewind as well, looking to take the 1v1. Stun onto StormyRays. Stun not off onto AirCougar. StormyRays forced to dash away.
And that's just going to be a wash, though. But now we see Eager starting to contest their own speed bump, but a nice ultimate from ElSoarchapo, and the Typhoon comes through.
Jellly gets known with his ultimate there. Delta Marine very low. Delta Marine somehow still alive. Chapo not going to let that happen for long. Shalaba actually the one to pick up that kill. Dwurst fighting 1v4 here, forced to run away.
And that was a great job by SoaR, because they pushed the mid wave first and then they invaded.
Yeah, first of all, they're looking for the early aggressiveness, which I really like coming out from SoaR for once.
That's really great there from Chapo. He forces out the purification from AirCougar.
He was thinking that he was going to pull him in there, right?
Right. And this time, SoaR is giving Team Eagle no time to breathe. They're going to invade everything they can, and they're just going to keep doing this.
And this is something that SoaR struggled with last game, was they got a couple of early kills, but weren't able to translate that into efficient farming.
And this is how you've managed to take advantage of your early picks. You don't keep forcing team fights down the mid lane. You go for an invade on the right, invade on the left, slowly build a goal lead.
And last last game it seemed like SoaR really had a hard time dealing with the Zeus ultimate. So the fact that they pick in Zhong, a really tanky mid laner, just makes it easier for him to just go in and just tank it all, meanwhile doing a lot of damage to Marine.
It just seems that, yeah, SoaR wants to be able to match that area of effect damage from Delta Marine with some damage of their own. And now with Brochacho and the Sylvanus, we saw the strategy coming out of SoaR right off the bat. They banned Geb, which is a huge comfort pick for Jellly, now switching back to the support role after the fall split. And they also took away his Sylvanus, two of his best gods. And now Brochacho, he's always in a position to make a good play.
Yeah, I love that idea coming out from SoaR. Also because Jellly was looking so good last game on that Sylvanus. He was playing so aggressive and sort of the same style as ElSoarchapo is doing right now.
The knock-up on Sylvanus is such a potent form of CC as well. We see Dwurst actually jumping away here. Chapo looking to chase here, just getting off some extra damage. Cage coming out from Uzzy. They're looking to get the kill here onto Dwurst, forcing out the ultimate from here as well. Here's the Typhoon from Chapo, knocks up Dwurst. Dwurst falls down to Uzzy.
Great job by the members of SoaR, utilizing the fact that all of Eager was in the mid lane. No one can really bail Dwurst out, and the Cage, it seemed like there was a little bit of miscommunication at first, but then Chapo found the kill.
SoaR Gaming looking for this gold free perhaps a little bit early. Brochacho looking for the pull through the wall, not going to be able to find it. Jellly has rotated.
You have to respect the fact that myflin does have Fear No Evil available, which will totally disrupt any sort of gold fury attempt from SoaR. They had the ward to spot out the rotation from myflin coming around the corner, which is why we saw the card go through the wall, and which is why we saw Brochacho trying to find that pull as well.
Left-hand side, StormyRays getting some pressure thrown in his face there by Jellly and AirCougar, and Eager now have the total vision control around this Gold Fury pit.
And I really want to see Stormy just completely just forcing AirCougar's ult all the time so the Susano can come and gank, because when the Chronos have the ultimate ready, he will have a safer position. When he doesn't have his ultimate, it's going to be a free gank for Chapo.
And exactly, the cooldowns are a little bit shorter on the side of StormyRays. 90 seconds, AirCougars is a little bit longer, so that's going to allow a little bit of a timing window potentially to wait that one out. Allow timing window for Chapo to make the rotation, find the kill, and look for gold.
ElSoarchapo here taking a lot of damage, but a good purification. Saves him from the CC of the Fear No Evil. ElSoarchapo now taking a little bit of poke here, but he's got some sustain to keep himself healthy.
But Uzzy, though, he's diving that tier 1 mid tower. He's left alone. He's going to get pulled back in to the Zeus ultimate. Great pick by Eager.
I mean, just way too aggressive positioning from Uzzy there. Just jumping in, trying to find some damage on the Zeus. He would never have been able to get a kill there, so jumping in was completely useless.
And this is the sword that we do not want to see if they want to be able to get any sort of advantages off of their picks. They need to play as a team and as a cohesive unit. You could potentially look for a kill because of obviously your huge burst damage from the bird bomb, but you can't do it alone.
And there we go. There's the forcing of the ultimate from Stormy. And I really want to see now Chapo instantly rotating to the left lane. AirCougar does have a really good aggressive ward, so it's going to be hard ganking anyways. If he finds a route where AirCougar is not going to be able to see him, he will 100% get this kill.
The first step has been complete by StormyRays. The question is the second step going to be followed up by Chapo? Smite has become a game now where you can no longer really get any more solo kills on your own. It's all about a checklist. Okay, I have to do this to get to the second one, have my teammate rotate here, and now we find the kill.
You have to set it up, force purification, so on, all the time, exactly. But right now, I mean, AirCougar's always still down. I just want to see this gank so bad because he's so easy to gank with
it might happen, but Eager has so much vision around the gold here. Even if he makes that rotation, I just expect AirCougar to just back off and play passive.
But Susano has so much mobility. He can even go from the tower and still catch up to him.
That's true, but the way Chapo has been playing it, it's been a little bit more passive compared to the last game. I think he's a little bit shook, I would say, from the last game because he was expecting so many good plays to happen and just never did. So now, sort of making a 180 into game number 2.
AirCougar gets the stun onto Chapo. Chapo, a lot of damage. Fear No Evil. myflin absolutely destroys the jungler from SoaR.
And gotta be careful. You can't be alone there. Now, I know he wanted to defend that ward, but you can't sacrifice your own life there.
Not only can he be alone, but without purification, and there's a Batz and Xing in the game, you gotta be careful.
It's such an important relic cooldown to always be aware of. You already got one ward. It's okay if you give up your other ward. Rely on your teammates to be in position around this gold here. But now AirCougar are going to get rooted and pulled. A little bit of damage, though, as SoaR continues to chase.
No rewind available just yet for AirCougar, forcing his accelerate out. Here's the ultimate from Jellly, but the rewind came online just in time before Brochacho kills him before it can even have effect. Jellly there using his ultimate to immune the Cupid ultimate as well. Brochacho looking for the pull, not choosing to pull the trigger.
AirCougar Eager just rotating way too aggressively, especially without his ultimate down. He just got it up, very unfortunate overall, but just way too aggressive.
Respect the cooldowns. Chapo didn't respect his purification cooldown. AirCougar didn't respect the rewind. And now, with that one pick off, SoaR still trying to bait. Look at Chapo.
Looking for the pull in there, he finds Jellly. There's the there's the Tempest, I should say. Jellly taking a lot of damage and forcing out the shell from the support of Eager.
Also,
Now-
Shellber used his ultimate in the last fight really poorly, so now he doesn't have it for this fight, so SoaR still need to be careful.
They're still trying to get this gold here, but a
Oh
lot of
my
damage from
goodness.
that bird bomb. Getting caught in the cage, jumping over. He'll be fine for now. And that's going to allow Eager to disengage from this team fight. SoaR still don't want to start the gold here, Bochacho, with not too much mana.
There's too many members of Eager around for them to really look at this, and vision control still in favor of Eager.
Right, and now ElSoarchapo is out of mana, so they can't stay around this goal free. They need that sustain to basically just forcing the goal free and going back in. Yeah, they need to sustain.
Still 10 minutes into the game, SoaR waiting for the right opportunity to be able to get this next important objective. They're kind of flirting with the idea of Gold Fury. It's fine if they're able to pull the members of Eager away out of position because they have the tools necessary to really start punishing people. They have the control with ElSoarchapo, Bochacho as well, the knock-up, the pull, another knock-up from the Typhoon. StormyRays has a huge cripple, which is going to prevent anyone from escaping if they don't have the purification.
Bochacho need to back here before Team Eager is going to be looking for this goal free because they've all been back, so they've full mana. They've got their
Everything.
items, so.
They honestly have everything.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned before, a Sylvanus without any mana is not even worth having. And you might as well be playing the game 4v5.
Right, and I really like the combo from Team Eager, the Xing 10 and the Batz overall. It's two really AoE beats forces, so if the Xing 10 is forcing 2 beats, well then the Batz is going to have a free ult. If the Batz forces 2 purifications or even 1, the Xing 10 is going to be able to take anybody, and it's just going to be a free kill every time they do this.
Seems to be a much slower paced game than our first one. You know, SoaR Gaming really trying to slow the pace down. Eager here looking for the gold tree. Excellent ultimate fry. myflin keeps StormyRays away. StormyRays looking to get some return damage. Great stun there. Eager take the gold tree. StormyRays though picks up 1 kill. Here's Uzzy looking for another rewind though. Comes through from Cougar. StormyRays looking for some damage. He's trapped inside the cage still. StormyRays doing a lot of damage here, but so is Dwurst. Deltarine falls down to Bochacho.
And now AirCougar is going to fall as well. So far, it's going to be a 3-for-1. StormyRays sacrificing his life to perfection to jump away into place. Dwurst is going to fall as well after the root. Despite losing gold, SoaR 5-4.
Dwurst jumping in place there is so confusing for me because I think he could have gotten away if he just basically jumped towards his tower. Just really well played by Eager, realizing they're on the goal for you and collapsing on it immediately.
And despite losing the objective, they're looking for more objectives of their own. They're going for the tier 1 mid tower. Chapo's going to the right-hand side, checking if speed buff's up, checking if the blue is up. No, it's not. All right, I'll go grab a wave, push down into the soul lane. Maybe I'll put some poke on this tower of my own.
And now when SoaR got this tower, it is definitely not worth for Team Eager. They're losing 4 people in total, and they get all the jungle control. So now SoaR is just going to be having this control.
Last game we saw StormyRays fall behind to Deltarine. This game we see Deltarine falling behind to StormyRays. Do you think that this mid-lane control is really what's dictating the terms of this game?
I think it's because StormyRays is now finally on a comfortable guard into Zeus, because the Scylla is so squishy. If you ever get the chain lightning on him, you're dead. And the other hand, if you get a chain lightning onto a Zhong, he can just go into him and kill him.
SoaR is all about going all in. That's their motto. And what other god would you put than Zhong to fill that kind of position, obviously? So we see Bochacho being able to help StormyRays stay alive a little bit with the heals, as well as just controlling so much space between both of their ultimates. If SoaR continue to play like this, then the later the respawns go, the more objectives they'll be able to control.
Jellly there taking a little bit of poke from StormyRays. Nothing much doing there. No relics forced from either team. StormyRays though just getting out a lot of consistent damage from Zhong.
This was a perfect opportunity for Jellly just to ult in StormyRays. Even if he didn't purify, he just got the pressure in, and most likely he would have used his purification because there was 2 other players from Team Eager around.
And that's just going to be more of a waiting game here. Both teams grabbing their own buffs. They're going to try to still feel each other out, because despite the 4-for-1, you know, Eager getting Gold Fury, the gold deficit is just still in SoaR's favor ever so slightly, up 1,000 gold, heading into the 14-minute mark. Both teams looking for the next big team fight.
Also, a good thing myflin picked up beats, actually. This is good for SoaR because he needs Fling, but wait a second.
AirCougar pulled in there. Stun doesn't land onto Chapo. Chapo doing a lot of damage there to Cougar, but Cougar getting a lot of return damage onto StormyRays. Here comes Jellly, myflin, and Delta Marine. So SoaR wisely choose the disengage.
And that's what you really want to do while Gold Fury is still down. Look for any sort of advantage that you can on the left-hand side of the map. We see the rest of SoaR come through though, but Chacho and Shaliber are now here. Chapo goes in, not able to really connect onto anybody. The Monk is connecting onto 2. Doesn't want to teleport in though, would be a little risky.
And AirCougar just seems to be having this matchup in his hands right now. He's doing such a great job holding the pressure onto the Cupid, and that's the reason why they couldn't gank him there.
And in the soul lane between Uzzy and Dwurst, it seems that Uzzy has now adapted a little bit better than the last game. He's not getting bullied under his own tier 1 tower. He's making the plays necessary to adjust. Every single time the Nike uses her ability, the shield comes out negating all that damage.
There's the Purification forced out of Chapo there. myflin using the Fear No Evil, so Purification burn. Brochacho pulls in Jellly there, but to no effect.
No
Great job on
follow-up.
myflin.
They don't want to commit too hard at that
No,
point.
he didn't even want to kill. He just wanted the purification. Now the Tian is able to ult him, and if he gets that ultimate, he will die instantly.
140 seconds until the Purification comes back online for ElSoarchapo, so Eager could look for an opportunity there.
But as I was saying before, the Batz have to pick up the blink as he just did. But now we have no Aegis for the Chong-Kui damage, and that's going to spell trouble.
Just too much damage over time on the side of SoaR. So as long as they're able to position themselves to catch myflin, myflin has to be careful about going in first, basically. He has to kind of bait out Jellly, wait for the cooldowns from SoaR to be used, and then he can go in.
I'm really liking Chapo on this Susano. Rather than last game we saw him on Thor, seemed to overcommit too much, whereas with the Susano, he can overplay his hand a little bit but still get out.
Exactly, with the extra mobility, he's in a safer spot. It's a little bit like Circuit. You're always in their face, but you can always get out because you have so much mobility.
And it seems that now we're going to see Brochacho force the Purification from Delta Marine. He's going to use the ultimate defensively. Chapo trying to survive using that Sanctuary. The Fear No Evil coming, and that's going to be the first victim.
Great knock up there from Chapo's ultimate. Shaliber doesn't get knocked up here, doing a lot of damage. StormyRays, excellent ultimate. Here comes Uzzy. They're looking for Dwurst, but he's so tanky at the moment, and there's no follow-up damage there from SoaR Gaming.
After the rewind, AirCougar wanted to be able to get back into the team fight, but every member from Eager is low. Uzzy jumping in, wanted to find a slow potentially, but the rest of his team is too far behind him.
Just a great shield coming out from Team Eager. They're absorbing all the damage coming out from the Chong-Kui and making it able for them to just re-engage.
And now there's a 10-second window before ElSoarchapo respawns, but it's actually SoaR that's going to start the goal here, recognizing that Eager didn't back yet. There's still a small health pool advantage for SoaR. They see Dwurst and Jellly a little bit out of position, and now with Jellly in the mid lane, they could start this.
Dwurst taking a lot of damage. There's a ring down from Uzzy, but it's not going to trap anyone in except for Jellly, and they're completely ignoring him. Delta Marine gate, great chain lightning there to force away SoaR.
And now it's just a waiting game. Wait for the sustain to come through. You have the Cupid hearts, you have Brochacho's wisps to be able to get you topped off, and SoaR recognizing this, they're going to start the gold.
Let's listen to SoaR while they try and take this objective.
Yo, in the back,
the back.
Yo, Chronos in the back, Chronos, get Chronos. They're all above me, guys.
I'm on Chronos.
Zoning,
Everyone's calling shit. I don't know why we're not listening. Like, I don't know. Yeah, no more calls. Like, everybody's yelling shit. It's not talking to the shit. It's one person. Listen to the call.
That went very badly for SoaR very quickly there.
And as you said, everybody was calling different things. At the end, it's just, you needed to have one caller and just be like, what are we going to do here?
Well, Eager didn't make it very easy, but Uzzy, he's going to jump, and he finds one. Nice jump from myflin, not going to sacrifice himself in the process. So yet again, SoaR finding
They might actually find Uzzy here. Dwurst chasing him down, waiting for the damage to come online. Basic attack doesn't land. Jump from Uzzy, and now Dwurst going to drop off.
And like we saw earlier on in that Gold Fury fight, SoaR pulling it, but it was Eager coming from every single angle. SoaR was just everywhere.
Right, and it seemed like there was just way too much yelling because SoaR was staying on the go free, but at the same time they were calling targets, so overall they were just splitting that fight and Eager just easily collapsing on it.
It seemed that they really wanted to take advantage of AirCougar on the Chronos because his rewind was not available. He came underneath. We saw the fact that Chapo was chasing him a little bit, but then we saw Shaliber was the first victim there earlier on because he got caught off on the right-hand side. So wherever you're going on the left, there's going to always be action behind you as well.
Right, and the Chong-Kui without ultimate is basically useless, and he had no ultimate for that fight. So overall, forcing that is a little bit wonky.
After that engagement, we could see a huge swing in experience and gold in favor of Team Eager, and this is kind of what happened last game as well. Uzzy forced to use the ultimate, Dwurst knocked up there by Chapo. Dwurst happy to take this fight. As I was saying though, this is kind of what we saw last game, albeit much quicker. SoaR making plays in the early game, but then Eager coming back.
Still early on though, you know, heading into 20 minutes. Nice little blink ultimate, gonna force the purification out of Delta Marine, so window, but Uzzy very low, trying to get out of danger, just can't find the jump.
Also just being way too aggressive. myflin was just there before, and he's going all the way up in the lane. Just a bad position.
Even using the ultimate, but now Chapo in a 1v2 spot. The tier 1 tower at this point can just be easily absorbed by Dwurst if he wants to. He jumps back in, recognizing he does have the defense. The monkeys come out, but being pulled back in, sacrificing himself. Can they find a return kill though?
Chapo is tilted. He is going way too aggressive now, just dying over again, and this is what I don't want to see from SoaR. Them getting on the backhand, because they're an emotional team, and if they get down, I don't think there's no way up for them.
No, I don't think so either. They definitely live or die off of their communications. We've seen them in the past land just how vocal they are. They try to get into the heads of their opposition, but it seems that Eager is used to this, and they're not allowing that to happen. They're being very patient here.
It seems like SoaR needs that momentum, but Team Eager taking it away from them just brings them down.
Now we still see missed heart bombs coming out of StormyRays, but the ultimate gonna be deterred. AirCougar using that Sanctuary rather suspiciously. I think he could have easily walked out.
Oh yeah, he had the wing blade parked there, so he could definitely get out. No reason to Aegis.
Maybe just a little bit of
Choco. We all do that on the big stage.
Every now and then, but now getting pulled in. myflin forced to jump away. Didn't want to take too much poke from Shaliber. They still looking for more opportunities down the mid lane. With Chapo being respawned, they have to collect the pieces that started to slowly crumble. They have to start grouping up and find somebody from Eager isolated.
Yeah, and I love the pickup of the wing blade. Everybody should basically get it from Team Eager, because the Shankui have picked up the game of isolation. The AoE slow is going to be terrible for them, so they need that wing blade to be able to like get out of that ring.
Utilizing their area of effect damage, they have to try to catch people in Uzzy's ultimate. They have SoaRchapo playing the Sylvanus. They have Shaliber's ultimate. Just play together. Don't leave anyone behind.
We're saying that we need the winged ones on the side of Eager. myflin actually forced to jump away. SoaRchapo doesn't get the knock-up, only onto Jellly. Looking for a pull, not going to find a great chain lightning there from Delta Marine. SoaRchapo taking a lot of damage, trying to sustain himself back up. But the fact is, Team Eager has got so much anti-healing online.
Right, but also Marine's positioning have been so great this game. Also, Team Eager's reaction time have been so good. There have been so many pre-purifications before the Sylvanus ult, and that's really hard to
That wasn't the first time that they saw the blink Sylvanus ultimate through the wall. Eager were expecting that every step of the way, so they're gonna be expecting more aggression from SoaRchapo, from Uzzy. Look how grouped up Eager are. They're gonna be able to jump in, find a double knockup while the rest of their team commits.
And that's already forced out of shell. There's the ultimate from Jellly, knock up by Chapo, but here comes myflin looking for a great ultimate. Shaliber pops his, there's the ring there from Uzzy, great ring, but it's not having any effect. myflin forced to jump away. Delta Marine's ultimate is perfect there, forcing away Chapo. Shaliber taking a lot of damage, and Delta Marine gets himself another kill.
And myflin, though, he wants another one, going on to SoaRchapo, forced to jump away, but he lives right next to StormyRays. Not going to be able to find the kill quite yet. Nice body blocking by AirCougar. myflin finally falling, but not until 3 of his teammates falling out. That's
oh my
triple.
goodness, Delta Marine there. Did you see what he did? Getting the auto attacks on, keeping the Zeus passive online onto the Cupid so that he could detonate his charge.
And everyone from from SoaR just tried to collapse on the Humbat. They couldn't do it, so the Zeus could do everything he wanted, just trying to peel for the Humbat. He got so much damage this fight.
And that was a great idea to be able to utilize that Zeus ult defensively just to keep myflin alive for a little bit longer. And as a result, we can see Eager grab that middle Phoenix 23 minutes into the game.
But it also seems like SoaR was like, go fight, retreat, because one by one they went in. Shaliber went in alone. Chapo went in alone. They like went in by themselves, not collapsing as a whole team and just going on them at the same time.
The separation distance between Chapo and Shaliber was just too much. We saw the triple flank from Eager as a result, taking out that Zhong. Like you mentioned before, once the ultimate is not available for Shaliber, he's almost useless. Now, he does have that gem of isolation now, but it's not as effective as he wants it to be in these team fights, I feel like.
Shellibur need to have this Obsidian shard online before they fight again. The last fight, he didn't even have it bought, so he had no penetration. The shell just did too much work that fight.
Wouldn't a Spirit of the Magus be better than an Obsidian Shard, though?
I mean, now when they don't really have another magical, the Obsidian Shard is better. If they had like a Chronos on the ADC, I would have liked to see it then, but now it's better for himself as a whole.
We also could see potentially more utility items coming, like Pythax piece, for example, between the Sylvanus and the Zhong, just to be able to synergize more magical damage for their teammates, because it just doesn't seem to me that SoaR is getting off the damage and the kills as quickly as they would like. They need to bait out the relics before overcommitting.
And
on the right-hand side, AirCougar going to push down the tier 2 tower all alone, as it looks like SoaR's hanging around this fire giant, making sure the rest of Team Eager isn't doing that. But they're just sacrificing this tower, and a huge golden experience advantage now for Team Eager.
Smart play from Eager. Fire giant is too important 25 minutes in. You have the Chronos level 20 with a lot of attack speed. Jellly coming from the backhand side. Not going to be able to really go in here, though.
Here he goes, so here comes myflin, gets the Fear No Evil. AirCougar around the backside as well, looking for Chapo. Eager's a little bit split up here as Uzzy's laid down the ring. Rewind there from AirCougar behind the rest of SoaR. Uzzy, though, effectively zoned out 3 members of SoaR. Great knockup by Brochacho. Here comes Uzzy. Dwurst uses the shield to great effect. Delta Marine, so much damage. Jellly tossing 2 back in. Delta Marine doing so much damage, but StormyRays picks up Jellly.
1 for 1 so far. Brochacho a little low. The hearts are coming out. Uzzy jumping away, but Dwurst getting caught. Eager losing 2. Uzzy shielding himself, trying to run. The blink is good. That's going to be 3 dead for SoaR. They have to give this one up. They're going to lose the tier 2 right tower. Do they go for Phoenix or the Fire Giant here?
I think they want it back right now. They actually have AirCougar, but they have no one to tank the Fire Giant, so they just want it back, get the sustain, find the control, and then start baiting again. Overall, that was a good fight from SoaR, and that's why Eager can't do anything at this point. Brochacho got a sick ultimate off.
AirCougar being struck down by Chapo here. Straight into the Sanctuary, keeps himself alive, and Delta Marine hangs around to save his teammate, but Chapo and Uzzy want to find the re-engage.
Now we're going to see SoaR. They recognize the fact that Team Eager hasn't backed yet. AirCougar's rewind still not available. A little bit low in the health and mana department. Going to be able to zone away them from the warding controls. But Eager, with this advantage, with the gold and experience, it's getting very troublesome for SoaR.
And this is what I don't like about SoaR's combo right now. They have the healing on the Cupid, they have the healing on the Sylvanus, but they have a Shankui on the team. As a Shankui, you want to go all in. You don't want, like, at this point, SoaR need to use the healing while going back poking. But Shankui's not about poking. You want to go all in.
You might as well start.
It's weird for me.
You might as well start utilizing that ultimate defensively at this point. If you're Shellibur, let Eager be the ones to engage, be the first ones in, utilize your sustain, and then the second set of cooldowns. Once the relics are down, then you commit your ultimate.
Uzzy there. Oh, excellent route through the cage by Jellly. Keeps Uzzy in place. Fear No Evil onto the solo laner. Uzzy getting chunked down here. There's the ultimate out of Jellly, but Uzzy manages to get away. Dwurst is chasing though. Dwurst looking for the kill onto his solo lane opponent, while Delta Marine absolutely bursts down Shellibur. StormyRays uses his ultimate. Blocks 2 in place. Chapo gets a kill, but Delta Marine, he's got another triple kill. 2 triple kills this game for the mid laner of Team Eager. StormyRays very low, forced to use the Sanctuary. He's the rest of Eager. StormyRays falls down. Team Eager, middle Phoenix is low. They're looking for the win.
They got the D aside. They found Delta Marine, but at what cost? They got all 5 members from SoaR down. Team Eager, they won game 1. They're winning game 2. They're one more win away from crowning themselves as the Smite console world champions.
Excellent play all game from Team Eager. Very similar to last game, we saw SoaR take an early lead, but just unable to capitalize.
Eager looking so strong right now. Delta Marine on that Zeus is so strong. I think SoaR need to ban that out because he's playing phenomenal.
SoaR, they want to go in. Delta Marine says, no. No, you don't. Not today. Today is our day.
All right, 2-0 lead for Eager in the series. Analysts, take us away.
Thank you. All right, guys. Eager is up 2-0 in this series. SoaR struggling. Welcome back to the Analyst Test, folks. My name is Golden Boy, joined by Taco and Zaxi, breaking this one down. First thing I got to talk about here, can they just get the memo and just boot out Zeus? Because this is insane. Yeah, it's insane.
I'm honestly trying to figure out how Delta Marine even managed to get Zeus 2 games in a row already. I mean, it's been problematic in the past even. They've seen his performances on Zeus and just the way that he played it in the first game. And then they let him, you know, run it back in the second game. And I feel like if they leave it open for a third game, this could very well be a 3-0 to Eager.
Yeah, if they leave it open in the third game, I expect that he's going to pick it again and he's going to do work on it. I mean, he's just shown that he's too strong with it right now.
Yeah.
I think regardless of what has gone on in scrims in the past, what they feel like they need to ban, it's evident that right now, today, they need to ban Zeus.
Let's take a look here at Dwurst as well, because this is also another interesting one too, right? Dwurst, such a talented player, and he's had his way on Nike. Another god that on the PC side, we've seen get the boot fairly early in the ban phase here. Dwurst just did work here.
Yeah, and I think that the most awkward thing for me about it that SoaR is opting to go for is that they're not really picking comps that can even properly cancel out Nike's kit. Like, you know, you have her main kit damage and everything, but they have not really any solid way to deal with this, and along with her passive to give that Zeus mobility as well, so that way they have a lot more kiting potential in their backline. I think just overall, SoaR just needs to reevaluate, slow down, take a deep breath, and just realize that they need to, you know, play with a little bit more composure, play with a little bit more discipline, just like Eager is doing, because if this is the SoaR that we're going to get versus Eager, like I said, I don't see SoaR being able to keep up.
You know, one thing that you had talked about, I think when we were off camera, was you get two kinds of SoaR. You get the premium grade, you know, the organic SoaR, right? The one that you go to the high-end supermarket to get, and then you get the off-brand SoaR, you know, like the White Rose brand. You know, no one really wants that brand. And that's kind of like what's going on here. SoaR